Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys, Tuesday, November the 6th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined by the whole panel here, the whole crew, Alex B. Smith, Andrew McGinnis, and Jimmy Murphy as we break down the Tuesday NHL card. Let's get some opening thoughts from all of my colleagues here on the Ice Guys, starting with Alex. How are you?
Doing good. This is busy day here in America, of course, with election day, but just a good day we got college hoops starting. We got a full slate of hockey. I mean, this is just such a busy time. You got to make sure the batteries are working in the old remote. You're flipping back and forth with channels, but this should be a really good day to bet some numbers in hockey.
All right, excellent. Andrew, how are you today on this Tuesday morning?
Yeah, we're doing great. Good to see you guys, and happy to be back here. And yeah, another quick point, guys. Every single first period over hits yesterday in the small card of just 5 games. So that's pretty crazy. That's something we've talked about, different betting angles and stuff like that. So anyone that thinks that that's not really a legitimate bet, that there's your example right there, going 5 for 5 last night. So just a quick point there. And yeah, not a massive card, not 12, 13 games today, but a good card to go over, and looking forward to it.
All right, great stuff. And Jimmy Murphy, the birthday boy who celebrated a birthday this past weekend and obviously survived it because he's back with us here on the Ice Guys on a Tuesday morning. Jimmy, good morning. Happy birthday.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And yeah, guys, an interesting slate tonight. And yeah, some games last night. Man, I got to start riding these first period overs a little more. You guys have been on that for a while. It's killing it.
There we go. Finally, thank you for allowing me to unmute the mic. Google Hangouts. One of the good things, one of the few things you've gotten right the last couple of days here. So thank you very much for that. It allows me to get the show moving. And starting with Dallas taking on Columbus here at the top of the card, 145. 140, 145. We're looking at Columbus in that price range as a home favorite. The total 6, or actually 5.5, pretty much predominantly shaded to the over. There is 1.6 at Heritage, but mostly 5.5 here in this game. And we know what we're going to be bringing up here when Columbus is involved. The first period over trend, which has been excellent for the most part, but it's cooled off. It's like that fire hydrant's been brought out, and it's basically putting out the fire. The fire was that first period over. Last couple of games for Columbus, though, unders, but unders against Anaheim and Los Angeles, 2 of the more plodding, offensively inept teams going in the NHL. So the question now becomes Columbus, a more favorable matchup for goals. Dallas pushes the pace. Dallas hasn't exactly been lighting up the scoreboard. Evidence of that, obviously, last night, 2-1 overtime loss against the Boston Bruins. But still, Dallas has more firepower than Anaheim or LA. Dallas plays with more pace, tries to attack more, tries to go north-south more, up and down the ice than Anaheim and LA. So maybe this is an opportunity for Columbus to get back into a little bit more of a higher scoring game. And let's keep in mind, Columbus has still gone perfect to the over in the first period at home. This season at Nationwide Arena, perfect 7-0 with first period overs for Columbus on home ice. I'm going to roll the dice one more time, like I say, and I've said this to people that I talk to on Twitter, my subscribers, everybody. Been riding Columbus first period overs. I'm going to ride it one more time here. We've lost 2 in a row, but I think I'm still up 5 units from riding it all together since I got on this little streak. And if it doesn't win tonight, I think we'll jump off it entirely. So that's my goal. Again, Columbus has still cashed first period overs in every home game this season. And I think Dallas, Ben Bishop's going to be in because Hudobin was in last night. Bishop's been very up and down, no question about that. Even Bobrovsky's been up and down. Bobrovsky, as I've mentioned many times, from a GSAA, an advanced goalie metric stat that I use now in my goaltending handicapping, one of the worst in the NHL. He's like bottom 10 in GSAA, which is goals saved above average. And that's an indication that, in terms of the difficult saves, he's not making those difficult saves right now, Sergei Bobrovsky, and he's even giving up some easier goal stoppable shots. So I think Dallas, 1 goal last night, back-to-back. I also think defensively they could be a little bit, they played a really tight defensive game last night. Back-to-back situation, you could see that faltering a little bit back-to-back on the road, making a few more mistakes with the puck. So, yeah, I'm going to get back on this Columbus first period over one more time, and if it doesn't come through tonight for the 3rd straight game involving the Blue Jackets, we'll probably end up jumping off this trend entirely for the foreseeable future. Let's get to Alex B. Smith, Stars and Jackets for him. He's been right along with me on that train and enjoying the ride and enjoying the view on that train with Columbus first period overs the last couple of weeks. Alex, how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, same thing. I'm gonna, play this one more time. I hope everyone really listened to me Saturday's show, because I said that they're playing two teams that really try to slow things down. And if the first period over didn't hit with the LA game that Sunday, I went and sure enough I did played just a half a unit on the over with Columbus and Anaheim, and that one didn't hit as well. So I'm gonna go one full unit on it again, and if it doesn't, then we'll just like I said, think back of the good times we had just about a week and a half ago with all the ones that we did cash. There's other trends to be following right now, but like I said, it was fun while it lasted. And I think it should come back though in a big way, because you got we talk about the trend of teams returning home off of long road trips or cross country road trips. Hasn't been as bad as in years prior. Teams have kind of come back sometimes with a little bit more energy than you expect. And like I said, the fact that Dallas plays a way more open style than LA. I mean, LA clogged up the zone just completely in that first period, and it looked like a game you were watching from 1996 as opposed to 2018. And even a 4-1 loss is the game that ended up getting John Stevens fired from his job. And then even in the Anaheim game, Anaheim just slow, don't really have a lot of offensive weapons. Dallas is trying to get the identity of playing a little bit faster style. I think they complement Columbus well. So I think we should see, at least 2, maybe even 3 goals in the first period of this contest.
Yeah, I agree. And Columbus, you would think off 2 losses to end that road trip, right? LA and Anaheim lost both of those games. I think they're going to come out firing. They should. 2 straight losses back home in front of your fans. So I think Columbus pushes early on. And of course, Dallas doesn't mind playing that way under Montgomery. So first period over, even from a situational perspective, with Columbus back home, off 2 losses to end that road trip, it gives me that thinking that Columbus really tries to come out strong, hard, fast out of the gate tonight. We'll see if that translates into a first period over. And if it is, it would be 8-0 to the over at home in first periods for Columbus this season, taking on the Stars. Next up, we've got Montreal, New York Rangers. No line, no side, no total yet. Of course, Montreal. This is a lot of teams on second night of back-to-backs. Dallas in the last game, Montreal tonight against the New York Rangers. Give Montreal credit. I'll tell you, what a resilient bunch. We saw what they did against Washington last week, down late in the third period. Found a way to win 5-4. Same thing last night, down 3-1 against the New York Islanders. Could have said, hey, not our night. We got to play again tomorrow. Not this Montreal team. Really impressive stuff. Lehkonen and Domi get big goals for them to tie it, and they end up winning on a Joel Armia, of all people, shootout winner to beat the New York Islanders 4-3. Great win. Great win for me. I was on Montreal last night. Bleu, blanc, rouge, au Canadien, au Canadien. Yeah, so there we go. There's my little ode to Montreal. They do that song at the Bell Center all the time. But yeah, a good win for Montreal. And again, a team that is keep an eye on this trend, by the way. I've picked up on it. It's something to ride, I think, moving forward. They haven't lost 2 in a row, Montreal, yet this season. They're now 6-0 off a loss this season. The Montreal Canadiens. They have not lost 2 games in a row. Something you're going to want to keep in the back of your mind for the next time you see Montreal playing when they lost their previous game. They've been gold off a loss. That's not the case here, though. They won last night. Now they're in against the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. New York Rangers, still a very, very tricky team for me to get a handle on. I really can't evaluate that road trip of theirs. They're 6-8 on the season. They play so many teams that are struggling on that road trip. Anaheim, LA, when you go out west these days. Remember those wins they used to put so much stock into them? Wow, you went out on the West Coast, you beat Anaheim and LA. Wow, what a great job, guys. Not anymore. Yeah. Give 2 shits to beat those teams anymore in this 2018-2019 season, because they stink, because they still don't play the type of hockey that wins in this era. So the New York Rangers, now you got to go back home. Tough spot usually, first game off that road trip. Play this Montreal team. It's a bad spot for both teams. You got Montreal back-to-back, Rangers home off the road trip. So it's a game I'm not going to even get close to getting involved in. But I'd lean Montreal. They've got good vibes going here right now. And Carey Price will be back in net. Niemi was in last night. So I think this is a situation where Montreal, even though it's a back-to-back for them, playing with confidence, wouldn't rule out the possibility of them winning this hockey game. Let's get to Jimmy Murphy, because he's got some betting action on this game, Habs and Rangers tonight. Jimmy, what do you like?
I like the under in this game, just for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned there. Montreal playing last night, some tired legs for them. Rangers coming back from that road trip, always usually flat in the first period on your first game back home. So can't see much scoring getting going in the first period there. And I just think it will carry through to the game, especially if Montreal, the road team, gets a lead there. They might clamp down And this isn't exactly a Rangers team that can play run and gun. They're just a scrappy bunch, these Rangers. So I get why you don't really want to go near it, because you really don't know what you're going to get right now with the Rangers. I mean, but one thing you get every night is a solid effort, and I got to give them that. And, people are knocking Lundqvist and saying it's time to retire. You look at his stats, they're not all that bad. I mean, he is playing with a borderline AHL team in front of him. I think David Quinn's done a good job of getting these guys to play hard, and that's why I just see a tight defensive game tonight between the Habs and Rangers because of tired legs and just the way the Rangers play as well. I think they sort of can get you into the clawing type game, and so I see it going under 5.5 here at MSG.
Yeah, that definitely makes some sense to me, and I've got to bring out the breaking news alert. We have some freaking breaking news in the NHL right now. People obviously onto it already in the chat. Joel Quenneville, Coach Q. That's always the beloved moniker he's been known for years.
No way.
That day has arrived. He has been relieved of his duties as head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks.
What?
Coming off an absolutely dismal road trip. And obviously the offense has dried up. Defense has been terrible all season long. I feel bad for Crawford. I think not much of this is his fault. It's just been a really bad team in front of him since he's come back from injury, and Joel Quenneville's taken the fall for it. And it was something that's been, I don't want to say rumored for a long time, but they've always had in the back of their minds. I'm sure Stanley Bowman has had some consideration about, making a change. Even when things went south at one point last year, I'm sure he had the thought, maybe in the back of my mind, I'll do something here in terms of a coaching change, but held off on it and waited to see how this season went. But odd timing. I'm surprised that, with so much that's gone on, with so much history with Coach Q and this team, multiple Stanley Cups, great years, that this is now the time to pull the rug out from under him. But yes, it has happened. Joel Quenneville has been fired as head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. So there we go. Big time breaking news. Let me just get a little more clarity on it right now. Let's see.
Sorry, Alex.
It's going to be Jeremy Colleton.
Jeremy Collins from Rockford moving up.
Yes, the Rockford AHL affiliate coach going to be moving on up, taking over at least as the interim. But I'm sure Chicago's probably going to be looking in another direction. Unless Colleton lights a spark with this team. But I don't know if Scotty Bowman can light a spark with this Chicago Blackhawks team right now. Yeah. I don't even know if his coaching can.
The dynasty is Alex. I mean, this is the exclamation point. The dynasty. That's it. It's gone.
Yeah, I said it yesterday in a show me and Andrew did. I said, this dynasty is officially ended, and it was a great run. Big thanks to Coach Q for all that he's done, bringing 3 Stanley Cups to the city and the franchise. I got to meet him and the coaching staff about 3 or 4 years ago at a game before a Wild game. They were sitting around. I got to buy the whole staff around the beers and thank him for all that he's done. So this is wow. It's just a surreal day. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen mid-season. I just didn't know when exactly. But yeah, I mean, after this horrible road trip, I mean, you got to shake something up. And this was I think it's the right time to make this move. Coming home, it's going to be. I don't know how the fans back home in Chicago are going to respond to it with the first game at home. But hopefully the team it lights a spark on their ass. I mean, I remember when Quenneville got signed and they fired Savard, yep. And you had Patrick Kane was crying in his locker, and everybody was really shaken up by it. And well, that ended up being the kick in the balls that they needed, because they ended up going on and making a deep run. So tough day obviously for Quenneville and his family. Wish him nothing but the best, and hopefully Colleton can get something going as the 38th coach of the Hawks franchise history. There
you go. That's right from a true fan of the team's mouth right there, Alex B. Smith. Yeah, just an instant reaction from Alex, who's been a lifelong beloved Blackhawks fan. Certainly big news there after all the history and all the years. We're talking like 10 years, I believe, Joel Quenneville with the Chicago Blackhawks. That's a very long time. There's a lot of coaches these days that survive 10 years with the same team, but Joel Quenneville did, and it's hats off to him. But yeah, I think they get a sense now, Stan Bowman and the front office does. This is the start of a long, painful rebuild coming up for Chicago. This is going to be a long one. It's going to be a painful one. You've really got to rebuild your prospect system. You've got to get some draft picks, rebuild that farm system, that prospect pipeline. You got to absolutely improve that.
We've seen worse
issues in recent years. Yeah, they don't want Quenneville hanging around through these dark and gloomy times too. Yeah. I think let's make the change now. It's a new era going to be moving forward. The old era is sort of gone now. The only holdovers are really, your two defensemen there, Seabrook and Keith, and Kane and Taves up front. Now you're really looking for that, next wave of young talent for Chicago. And I think they say, it's going to be a new era. Let's have a new voice maybe as well as the head coach of this team. Andrew, who's been sitting back watching us, you got any thoughts on this here with Quenneville? Obviously, no longer the head coach of this Chicago team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it was just time. I think that it's nice to hear Alex as a fan kind of just accept it and kind of just realize that, hey, look, they had their run, they had their glory days. And to be honest with you, sometimes it's just the way it is. It sucks, but it's just the way it is. You have to mix things up sometimes. And, you hate to use the cliche phrases, but it's true. Alex says it, you have to spark the lineup, and hopefully that does change things. And I think no matter what, nobody ever in life in anything, but situationally in sports, athletes, you shouldn't get too comfortable. And Ian, you mentioned it, how long he's been there. These players get comfortable. Well, of course, we saw what's happening with the Senators, and we'll talk about that later. But these players know that coach so well, right? So they're not on edge. They're not really trying anything new. They're not learning anything new-ish every single practice. When you have a new head coach coming in, if there's anything that I know about coaching, it's that they need to make an immediate impact, whether it's a new small coaching strategy offensively, whether it's a new drill, whether it's a new routine before the game, at dinner. I'm not joking. Like, certain things can just literally change the whole vibe of a team. And, I'm sure as sad as the players are to see Coach Q leave, it's not really as much about him leaving and someone else coming. It's more of just a change in general, kind of just changing the feng shui of the locker room a little bit. So I think that's kind of good for them. I think it's a little bit quick, to be honest with you guys. I think it's a little bit immediate, but I can never really blame someone for going right for it and pulling the trigger. But yeah, I mean, great coaching history from him with the Hawks, and all the best to him. But it's time for something else to kind of spark here for this Blackhawks team.
I like how someone in the chat, G8 Passkey, with the comment of the day: Quenneville coaches the Cleveland Browns. That's his next job. It can't be any worse than Hugh Jackson and Greg Williams. That's for damn sure. It can't be any worse than those two stiffs, those two jabronis. So yeah, let's absolutely.
He's gonna preach defense, so yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
I just hope you don't end up in Ottawa and his players going on another Uber trip there.
Yeah. What a couple of clowns. Like, seriously, the last two Cleveland Browns coaches have been Hugh Jackson and Greg Williams. I mean, could you get more clown college than that? Holy fuck. All right, next up, we've got Vegas and Toronto. Toronto minus 135 home favorites. The total 5.5 shaded to the over, minus 125 here. Look, what can Toronto do? I don't know what Mike Babcock can do. Can he paint the arena? Can he maybe get the team to switch dressing rooms to the visiting dressing room? What can this Toronto team do to bring their road performances back home with them? That's the question. That's what everybody's scratching their head about, with a Toronto team that's 6-0 on the road, that's below 500 at home. Crazy stuff with the Leafs. I mean, great win against Pittsburgh the other night, 5-0. Although after seeing Pittsburgh just play awful again last night, you wonder if something's up there. But still, don't take anything away from Toronto. They finally got some offense. Morgan Riley had and people are saying Bobby Orr. He's not that. Settle down, calm down. But he had a Bobby Orr type performance and game Saturday night against Pittsburgh, where he's rushing the puck up the ice, where he's firing the puck from the point, and with great precision, and just looking like he's totally in control, leading the rush up the ice. It was a great game for him. Can he do that consistently is the question. Bobby Orr did that night in, night out. Let's see if Morgan Riley can do the same before we get these crazy comparisons going. But yeah, Morgan Riley definitely had that kind of performance Saturday night. He was great on the back end. Tavares got off the schneid. It was a good thing to see the Leaf offense come to life in that win against Pittsburgh. But back home, they've had trouble putting the puck in the net. 1 goal against Dallas, 1 goal against Calgary last week in their last 2 home games. Something that has got to be done to try to get this team to play the way they do on the road at home. We'll see if it happens here against Vegas. Vegas has had a really, really tough, slow start to the season. No question about it. 6-7. But if you look at their underlying numbers, they probably should have a little bit better record than that. They've outplayed teams. They haven't had some puck luck go their way. Remember all the puck luck that went their way last year? Hasn't been quite that way so far this season for the Vegas Golden Knights. So we'll see. They go on the road here against Toronto. Toronto, I don't want to lay a price with them at home when they have struggled so much at home. That much I know. The question is, do I trust Vegas? I'm not so sure. So it's going to be a pass for me, but a very interesting game to see how it plays out. Let's get all three of my guys are involved in this game. I'm not, but they are. So hopefully they got something good to bring to the table with this game, Golden Knights and Leafs. Let's go to Andrew this time, Vegas and Toronto. What do you like here, Andrew?
Hey guys, coming into this game, I've really the past couple of weeks, really the past couple of games, I guess, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, have really picked my spots, specifically since that Austin Matthews injury. I think it negatively impacts the team, not only like just offensively and of course losing their superstar, but it throws them off a little bit. And I think that I've been one of those guys that said, hey, there's no reason that they should be 8-5 right now. There's no reason that they should be struggling. And I hold high expectations for them. And this isn't just coming from an angry Habs fan. This is coming from a guy that saw them as Stanley Cup favorites to start the year. And when I see that, I need that to reflect upon your start of the season. And I know Nylander's not there right now. I know Matthews isn't there right now. But guys, the performance that we were seeing out of them simply isn't acceptable for a team that's supposed to be competing. One thing that is notable, though, is that they're heading for their 10th straight under right now. So the Leafs are looking to catch the 10th straight undertaker, which is crazy because they started the season off just absolutely rolling the overs. I mean, we saw 6.5s, we saw 7s with them, I believe, against Washington. It was a 7. So, I mean, that's interesting. They buckled things down defensively. Whether it's been them not scoring or them buckling them down defensively, that's for you guys to decide. But look, overall, the way I come into this one, I see, obviously we know Matthew's still out, but I see the Leafs finally starting to come into their own. I think they're finally kind of starting to get things together. And I've talked about this. I don't care if Nylander's not there or Matthews isn't there. If you're a contender and you're a top tier team, you should have the depth and you should have those top guys to lead you. And I got to give some credit to Mitch Marner. This is a guy that, in my opinion, guys, isn't talked about enough. He makes the little plays. He's always there. He works his ass off, but he's always there making a smart play, getting a shot on net, making that right pass. And you see him out in transition, and he's not a guy you're talking about. He doesn't score these highlight reel goals, but he scores goals that matter, in my opinion. He's always there in key times. So, but again, you got to respect it. Johnny Tavares steps up. Patty Marleau steps up. And, of course, Kadri and Marner assists on his goal. And, of course, Riley with a great game. No comparisons to Orr. I mean, that's foolish. But he is stepping things up. He's good when he jumps up into the rush. But, again, defense first. You struggle that. You preach that in every sport. If your main position is defense, that's what you got to play first and then jump into the rush. You're not a forward, Morgan Riley, right? Don't jump into the rush before you worry about taking care of your own end. Guys, and the way I feel about this Vegas Golden Knights team, a lot of us talked about fading them early on in the season, and they'd be a team that would really be, hungover or underwhelming this year. And we look at some of these losses they've taken. They've been against good teams, like Tampa Bay, Nashville, St. Louis, even. But but to me, I don't really look to back them whatsoever on the road. They're 1-5 straight up in their last 6 games on the road. This is a team where I'm only going to look to take them at a decent price when they're at home. And to be honest with you, Leafs regulation is too good to be true right now at the plus 125 mark. You can get it around plus 125, 130. I think that last win versus the Pittsburgh Penguins is a spark. I mean, they're not going to beat the Penguins guys 5-0 every single game. But when you got your line clicking like that, their defensive effort, to me, is almost more important than that offensive spark. And I'm impressed by what I saw. I think Anderson will come out, big performance in nets tonight. They'll take care of business. I'll also look at the first period over possibly, but I'll look at the Toronto Maple Leafs regulation line plus 125.
All right, Andrew, for a bargain there. Regulation. I don't mind the minus 130 money line. Let's go reg line with Toronto. You get a better price on that for sure. Let's get to Jimmy with Vegas and Toronto. Jimmy, go ahead.
I'm just going to say that what he said, because he did a great job by Andrew there summing up what's going on with the Leafs right now. But I look at Vegas as kind of an elixir for a lot of struggling teams right now. Unfortunately, we're saying that only, not even a year removed from the run they had last year. But they're just a team. They're Jekyll and Hyde, the Vegas Golden Knights right now, and they just really can't seem to find some consistency. I know they're coming off a milestone game there with, Fleury getting his 50th shutout there, and maybe they think the team would rally around it. I just don't see it. There's something missing there in Vegas right now. They've had some injuries. Pacioretty's out, but you look at the Leafs right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. It'd be great if they could play that way at home, the way they play on the road, but I see them doing a pretty good job overall with Matt. I know they lost the first two with him out, but they seem to be starting to find their way without him. And, great point by Andrew there. Mitch Marner, nobody talks about this kid right now. And, you could argue, I mean, it might sound crazy, but I would put him maybe top 7 in Hart Trophy voting through 1 month. I really would. I think he's been that valuable to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you could argue, well, what about Riley? Well, he's in there too, and he's got to be considered the Norris, but he's no Bobby Orr, like you guys are saying. And I like the Leafs tonight. I see them starting to get their shit together, and I think they go on a little run right now.
Yeah, definitely. It could be, survive some struggles. And again, this is a team that played above 500 hockey last season in the time period Austin Matthews was out. So this team is capable of playing well without him. Obviously, it took a couple of games there against Dallas and Calgary to get their mojo and their offense rolling without him. They did against Pittsburgh. Finally on Saturday, we'll see if they can carry that over into tonight. But yeah, Marner, 18 points already for this Toronto Maple Leafs team in just 14 games. 18 points in 14 games for Mitch Marner. That tells you the kind of season he's had so far. For Vegas, it's not been the same season for their big guns. I mean, Marchessault, Carlson, and company have not been lighting the lamp like they did last year. Ryan Reeves, great player, don't get me wrong, but when he scored 4 of your goals in the last 7 games, there's issues offensively with the Golden Knights. That's not a guy that's supposed to be carrying the mail for you offensively, Ryan Reeves, but give him credit. He's chipped in much needed offense for this Golden Knights team. Let's get to Alex. He's in play as well with Golden Knights Leafs on this Tuesday card. Alex, what do you like?
Yeah, I look at Toronto in this spot, and I think they will be able to keep their momentum rolling. But the thing I'm looking at, the play that I'm on here, is the first period under. We're looking, like I said, 9 straight unders in the full game for Toronto, but they're 2-8 in the first period unders. They've had quite a few games where there's just been absolutely no score. Both teams know they need to get their offense rolling, and obviously that means that the defense is going to be on high alert. Like I said, we're seeing some better defensive efforts from Anderson in net. Fleury coming off of a shutout as well. So I think we're going to see the goaltenders really kind of shine in this battle. I can see it being a 2-1 game overall, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of scoring early. I think it's going to be more of a feeling out process. They're getting a plus price as well. I'm looking at the first period under.
All right, Andrew, one last thought on this game. Go, Andrew. Yeah,
I'm having the same problems that you were having there, Ian. That's frustrating. I'm just sitting there waiting for that red light to go away. I've noticed that the Leafs have actually struggled to get started in games, kind of get their legs going and have big, huge jump starts to their game. So I'm looking at, if you're going to lay any juice, in my opinion, I'd look at maybe, Alex, good point with the unders. I think that I agree with that, but I think that a Leafs first period money line, not the minus 0.5, but the money line is around minus 130 as well. And also Leafs to score first is minus 130. I've been liking those first team to score. Leafs have to get on the board. They're a team that, as much as they can fight back from bad situations, they can't start digging themselves a grave every time they go out there and play a team that struggles. And that's what's going to happen. They play a team that's not that skilled. They go down, 1-2-0, and they got to kind of try and crawl back. So like Jimmy says, maybe we should see a spark out of this team and have a good start.
All right, next up, New Jersey, Ottawa. We've got New Jersey minus 130 road chalk, total 6 shaded to the over in this game. And, of course, Ottawa Senator players making big headlines yesterday with the fact that they were caught, video recorded by an Uber driver talking about their team, talking about really work issues. It's basically like employees at a bar talking work and someone's recording them. I think the Uber driver's a complete tool for doing this. To be honest with you, recording this video is supposed to be a private conversation. No one's supposed to be privy to it, but because he recorded it and now he sent it out to the public, everybody has to see and hear Ottawa Senator players basically criticizing their penalty kill, criticizing their defensive play, and criticizing their coaching staff, specifically the assistant coach to Guy Boucher on this team, Marty Raymond, for his poor job, apparently, because he works with the defense and the penalty kill on the team, saying he doesn't do a good job coaching it up. He doesn't communicate well. He doesn't really say what they need to do better. He just says what they've done. As one player said, I believe that was Chris Weidman, who was in the front seat of that vehicle, said that. But the video's everywhere. I'm sure many of you have seen it by now. It is a big time violation of privacy, in my opinion. You should be allowed to have grievances about your job, your business, because not everybody's going to have fun with the way business is going, your job is going. The fact that you can't talk with the people you work with about some issues you have in the workplace with worry now that all of a sudden this could be public fodder, that's a disgrace as far as I'm concerned. That's a terrible job by this Uber driver for doing that, for violating someone's privacy in that regard. Nevertheless, now it's out there. It's a bad job by him, but it's out there now. And unfortunately for these players for Ottawa, it puts a little more, it just stokes the fire for a franchise that's had so many issues off the ice. Like, I mean, so many issues. Carl's issues with Mike Hoffman. Remember that? The two wives saying that there's some weird stuff going on there. There's Eugene Melnick and his issues with trying to get a new arena and trying to say, we're not going to get any big time free agents. There's just been so many controversies and issues off the ice involving this Ottawa Senators team, and this is just another one now that they've got to deal with that. Having said all of that, Ottawa at home has been reasonably decent. Like, let's be honest, they're still playing competitive hockey, this Ottawa team, on a nightly basis. They beat Tampa, for crying out loud, the other night at home. Good spot because Tampa was off back-to-back against Montreal, but they still won that. They beat Buffalo last week at home. They've been much better at home, this Ottawa team, than they've been on the road. Question is now for the New Jersey Devils, they were struggling mightily, especially on the road, winless on the road. Going into last night against Pittsburgh, they finally get their first road win of the season. Dominating effort, 5-1 win against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's see if they can carry that over here. Second night of back-to-backs. Really, it's a tricky game because New Jersey, if a win like that, when they've struggled so much on the road, I don't know if I'm rushing to lay $1.30 with them here, but I don't know if I want to touch Ottawa at all after everything that's gone on the last 24 hours involving the whole Uber situation with that coming to light with the video being released of that. So very, very tricky game for me from a side perspective. Fascinating to see how it plays out. The over might be worth a look because Ottawa's an over machine right now, especially at home. They can cruise over these sixes even. Again, you heard it right from the players' mouths, from Weidman and Duchesne and DeMello and Formanton and all of those guys in that video, that their defense stinks. Their penalty killing stinks, and they're not being coached well in that regard. Basically, they've made everybody aware of that now, thanks to that video. So tells you all you need to know. They have no confidence in their ability to keep the puck out of the net. So over the total is the only way I would consider this one from a totals perspective. In fact, that is a bet I'll make definitely in this game. Devils and Sens. They're an over machine, Ottawa. They just can't keep the puck out of their own net. They're and then you say Anderson. They felt sorry for their goalie, Craig Anderson, too, in that video when you see it. Jimmy, you're involved too. Devils and Sens, Jimmy.
Well, first of all, I want to let you know this pick is brought to you by Uber. And we promise we will not record anymore. So this I'm going to go with the over here with you as well. I mean, they've just given us their game plan basically. So I mean, it's not too hard. So unless maybe this serves as a rallying cry for the defense part of their system, and maybe the team rallies around it and plays the best defensive game of their lives, that could go that way because they might try to say, look, we're united and we're trying to show we're together here as a team. But no, it's a mess there. And look, hey, Ian, I agree 100%. Fuck that Uber driver. Screw him. He's a complete jerk for the way he violated their privacy. Seriously, I'd be pressing charges if I was the players. But on that respect, it's just another reflection of what's going on in Ottawa. And it's just another reflection of what trickles down from the top. And that is Melnick's bullshit. Melnick, to me, right now, is not only the worst owner in the NHL, I think he's one of the worst owners in pro sports. He has no clue how to run a sports franchise. He has no clue how to deal with people. He's not a people person. And he really just doesn't have a grasp on reality. And I think it's showing. This is just another reflection of that. And while I really feel for those players that this had to come out, I think in the long run, it's a good thing that this came out, because I think sooner or later, all these things are going to add up to something too much where he just has to hopefully relinquish ownership of this team, because that's the only way this team ever finds any pride again and never gets back on track. You can hire Joe Quinn, go out and get Joe Quenneville right now, or go hire an unbelievable coach. You're still not going to be good in Ottawa because it's just such a sideshow going on there. And this is just another reflection of it.
I never thought there'd be a football, basketball level of dysfunctionality and circus-like behavior with a franchise in the NHL. I never thought in hockey I'd see that. We're seeing it with Ottawa. It's one thing after another, and now another thing, although this is terrible that this was recorded, but it's still another incident off the ice that this team has to do.
But it doesn't – they're not saying those things if they're not happening, right? They're not saying those things if they're not in that culture. Yeah. So the fact is what they said is true, and it's just a reflection of how they look at their coaching staff, how they handle everyday, practices and just going to the rink, what it's like there for them. It's a joke to them. Yeah. Just like it's a joke to the fans looking or the media watching it, it's a joke to the players. And something's got to be done because it's just amazing to me that they were one goal away from the Stanley Cup final 2 years ago, and they've just fallen this far.
Been a big, long, hard, and big-time fall for this Ottawa team, no question. Alex B. Smith, New Jersey, Ottawa. What are you on here with this one?
Well, clearly that Uber driver was not a gambler, because if he was, he would have kept that shit to himself and been riding that trend on his own. And now he just gave us all the recipe right there. But it reminded me of the show. I don't know if you guys remember the old HBO show Taxi Cab Confessions. That's what that video footage reminded me of. But with this game here, Ottawa, I mean, they're a complete mess. And let's remember that this was filmed in Arizona. So this didn't just happen all last night. This happened in Arizona, and then they turn around, they beat Buffalo 4-2, but then they give up 9 goals in Buffalo the next game after that. So yeah, there's issues that still haven't been resolved as far as the defense goes. Yeah. And you got a New Jersey team that's coming off of what should be a feel-good win for them, ending a streak and beating a good team in Pittsburgh. I could see them rolling that into this game tonight. So laying only $1.25 or so. I look at New Jersey here. I think they should be able to get the win, and obviously there should be some goals scored in this game as well.
All right, New Jersey for Alex B. Smith and Andrew McGinnis. It's another full house game, Devils and Senators. Andrew, what do you like here?
All right, that's actually really starting to piss me off, pressing the mute button there, Ian. Ever since you said that about how it annoys you sometimes, it's happening to me now.
It's been bad.
Look, I think that when we talk about these games, we don't want to be too much of like the Stephen A. Smiths and the Skip Baylesses of the world. But I think it's important that I think it's cool for us to touch on this stuff and everyone to give out their own opinion. And it's it's hilarious, Alex saying that about him being a betting man. And the way I see it is, I've talked to some people that I know and some buddies of mine last night, told them about it, that aren't really hockey fans, and they, what their first reaction was. And Jimmy, you're close to the media and stuff like that. You might, have more of a say about this, but that guy must have gotten paid. Like, that guy must have made a fat check for that. He must have, they said it was to the Ottawa Citizen, or I don't know the newspapers in Ottawa as much, but something must have went down, because there's no way someone instantly comes out and does that for no reason. That's the way I see it. I mean, that guy must have had either some money offered, or he must have had a good deal, or sold the rights to that video to somebody. But either way, it's a sickening invasion of privacy. Not only would you feel embarrassed as a player, but you would feel like you got intruded on. You'd feel like no matter where you go, there's no privacy. In the end of the day, it's pretty much just like any colleagues talking about work, talking about their bosses. And that's just really the way you have to think about it. I often want to remind people that these guys are just athletes, but they're also just human. They're just guys like us three, us four. And that's hard for people to remember sometimes because they're such superstars. But it's terrible, really, that happened. But at the same time, it's like Ian said, they told us their game plan. They told us what's wrong. They pretty much admitted everything that we talk about here on the show. So that's kind of nice. And they really showed us that, hey, their defense does suck. They can't get a stop to friggin' save their lives, and it's true. So, but guys, again, I would lay the juice with New Jersey, but I think this could still get off to a slow start. This could not cover the first period over in my eyes, and still go way over the total. New Jersey 3.25 goals per game. Ottawa 3.2. I mean, a team that's scoring the most when they're at home. They've actually been performing in front of their home crowd. And let's face it, there's something that has to go on tonight, whether it's going to be a defensive collapse or it's going to be, these guys filling the puck with the net with the puck, because that's going to be an awkward locker room today, guys. It's going to be awkward walking to talk to your head coach. I already was watching before the show here with you guys some of the apologies that the players were making. That's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, those apologies don't mean anything until you get your act together and you genuinely say, hey, look, I was wrong, didn't mean these things. Because guys, let's be honest, were the players wrong? What they said?
No. The only thing they were sorry about is that they're sorry they said that in an environment where they were being recorded, where they didn't think they were being recorded. That's what they're sorry about. Obviously, they didn't want that to become public at all, and it shouldn't have. It absolutely shouldn't have. And the Ottawa Citizen, too. You got to wonder, conspiracy theorists are now going to start thinking a bunch of different things. Did this guy have an arrangement with the newspaper in Ottawa to run this story and give them this video and all this stuff? And the newspaper ran it because they know it's great fodder. It's something that gets people talking. Controversy.
I mean, they need ratings bad. They're going the Deadspin way here. That's something you don't see an Ottawa Citizen usually do.
No, exactly. Ottawa Citizen, basically, yeah, exactly. Desperation for eyeballs, people to read their paper, like with most newspapers, which are going the way of the dodo bird these days. So it's a situation where, Ottawa Citizen's desperate. They run the story, and that's a very tough thing to see all around. Poor job all around. Vancouver, Detroit. Guys, we got like 10 or 11 minutes left. We had the Quenneville news breaking, so we're going to go rapid fire through these last 5 games. Canucks, Red Wings, even money price here, 5.5, 6 the total. I'm going to play Vancouver here. I don't love the spot. I'm still leery about them after such a nice little homestand, but they're playing great. Look at the top 3 guys leading the way for them. Pettersson, 15 points. He's been incredible for this team. What a first year for him so far. Besser, 11 points. Horvat, 11 points. A resurgent Jake Virtanen, 7 points, 4th on the team. Those are the guys you count on for Vancouver, and they're coming through right now for this Canucks team. Give Detroit credit. They played a little bit better lately. Finally had their win streak snapped by Edmonton Saturday. I still think Vancouver's got more talent, better team than Detroit. And I don't trust Vancouver's goaltending. Don't love it by any stretch, but think Vancouver can get the job done here at an even money price. Let's get to Jimmy, too. Canucks and Red Wings. He's involved. Jimmy, what do you like?
Loving the Canucks here, and I tell you guys, I think I'm about ready to jump on the Canucks bandwagon right now. I'm really sensing that this could be that Cinderella team this year. I know it's only 1 month in, but I'm starting to look at these teams that had good starts that we thought would be brutal out of the gate. We didn't expect anything from, and I'm starting to look at them, and you're starting to see kind of some of them go to the wayside, and some are sticking around, and you're seeing who the pretenders are and who, I'm not going to call them contenders, but who the teams that may actually compete for a playoff spot that we didn't expect to. I think they're going to start to come to the top right now, and I see the Canucks maybe being one of those teams. I love the way they're playing. What can you say about Pettersson? He's unreal, and this is a fun team to watch. I see them going into Detroit, no problem, beating that Red Wings team.
All right, Vancouver as well. Jimmy and I in agreement there. Edmonton, Tampa Bay. Next up, Tampa Bay minus 180, 185, 6 shaded to the under. This is not a spot I'm looking to bet against Tampa, and Tampa's been amazing off a loss. They're off the loss to Ottawa Sunday. I think they respond with a good effort because that's what they've done over the years. A good effort from Tampa off a loss. I'm not in any rush to lay the price, but not a night I'll be looking to back Edmonton. Tough loss for them in Washington, back-to-back on the road for them. I think Koskinen will be a net tonight. Koskinen's been really good for them, so interesting to see if he gives them a chance at the upset tonight, but I won't be betting this game at all. Andrew will be. He's got a thought on this one, Lightning and Oil. Andrew, what do you like?
Yeah, for the meantime, guys, for as long as we're seeing this Edmonton team clicking without the main man Connor McDavid being the all-star and being the only guy doing something, that's realistically going to be the time that I'm going to back them. And I think that he scored against the Capitals, and I know that with Dryax had all those typical guys, but just the production I'm seeing, the effort, the shot count, the ability to hold the puck in the offensive zone, the ability to control the offensive pressure, possession, and just to look a little more dominant in my eyes just gives me a lot more confidence in this Oilers team. And realistically, when I watch this team, guys, and this dates back to I think 2 years ago, their first round in the playoffs, could be 3 years ago, but when they were, excelling in the playoffs, it wasn't just those top guys scoring and producing scoring opportunities. It was, defenders. It was fourth liners like Zach Kassian. It was third liners producing. And then in big moments, yes, then your top players can step things up and make a difference. So, I think that right now things are clicking for this team. Tampa Bay is a team off up in Ottawa. They got to come out and play a sharp game, but they're still a team that has so much talent, man. They've got defenders that love to jump into the rush. I love noticing that with certain teams. Their top two defensive pairings just jump right up in the rush. They always like to fire off the one-timers. They're not scared to shoot the puck. This game will go over the total in my eyes. Probably one of the higher scoring games on the night, I think.
All right, Edmonton, Tampa over the total of 6 for Andrew in that game. Carolina, St. Louis. St. Louis, actually, Carolina now road favorites. Change of favorite.
Yeah, that did change.
St. Louis was a home favorite. Carolina now -110 to -115. Total 5.5, shaded to the over. And the total's where I'm going in this game. We cashed a ticket betting Minnesota, St. Louis over the total Saturday night. Talking about St. Louis at home, they've been an over machine. Their offense dried up, but they're still giving up goals in bunches. And that belief coming into the season of mine that this defense was not as good, that I didn't trust their goaltending of Allen and Johnson, well, it's coming to fruition for Mike Yo's team. They're not very good defensively at all right now, but very capable offensively with Fabry back. You know, Carolina, what they're going to do, and this is probably going to work well against a team like St. Louis. They can't keep the puck out of the net, throw every shot at the net. We know Carolina does that. That's probably going to work well for them here in this game. I think St. Louis gets on the board. I don't care who you throw in there, Darling, McElhaney, Mrazek. Actually, McElhaney's been okay. Mrazek has been awful. I don't trust Darling at all. He was not good in his first start against Boston. I think you'll see Darling tonight. So I think you see goals in bunches here. I'm going to ride it one more time. St. Louis been an over machine, especially at home. Carolina at a 5.5. Absolutely. You love your 5.5s when you're looking over. That's the way we're going to go here. Carolina, St. Louis over 5.5 -120. That was my best bet on Saturday's show. St. Louis over. A little foreshadowing, maybe what be coming up for me for best bet later on into this show with this game. Minnesota. Actually, Andrew said he had something on this game, but he's retracted that for now. So we'll move on to Minnesota and San Jose. San Jose -145, home favorite, total 5.5, shaded to the over in this game. Obviously, we've got Minnesota playing a little bit better hockey of late, no question. They just beat the aforementioned St. Louis Blues 5-1 on Saturday. San Jose, trying to get their consistency going. Something that they've had trouble doing, 7-5, starting to play a little bit better, though, a little bit more consistent. It's taking Carlson and company a lot of time to gel, get better. We'll see if they can get the job done here. Not a game I have much on side or total, although I know Alex is going to mention this game, Wild and Sharks, and he's going to mention another great under-the-radar first-period trend that's been developing. Alex, what do you got here? What is it?
If you're buying shots for the blonde at the bar and she's treating you poorly, maybe you should send the shot over to the redhead at the bar. What I mean by that is with Columbus for our first period over starting to kind of falter a little bit, we got a new trend worth looking at. That's the San Jose Sharks first period over, 12-2 on the year, 9-1 in the last 10. The Sharks haven't been doing much, like I said, it's a full game, but they're playing a team now in the Wild who won 7 of the last 8, finally getting things rolling on offense. And they've actually won the last 5 meetings against the Sharks. So I could see this being high scoring early, maybe a 1-1, 2-1 affair at the end of 20. So Sharks and Wild first period over 1.5 -$1.15.
All right, first period over. Again, it's getting up to Columbus level of success, believe it or not. San Jose first period over. So that's the way Alex is going to go. Hey, the trend is your friend sometimes. You ride it when it's going well. All right, last game, and then we'll get to best bets. We got Anaheim, L.A., battle of the freeway there. Anaheim and LA, no line, side, or total in this game. Obviously, for the LA Kings, we know what this is. This is the first game after the firing of John Stevens. The head coach is now gone from this team, so we'll see what kind of shakeup that ends up being here going forward here. With Willie Day, I don't know if Willie Desjardins. I don't understand Willie Desjardins, to be honest with you, being the interim coach of this team. But it didn't work for him in Vancouver. But it's absolutely bizarre. He does say he wants to see us play fast. I want to see us play with passion. I want to see us be excited when we get to the rink. I want to see us start each period quick. We want to find ways for it. So maybe they play faster. You got to still be able to put the puck in the net. Now, LA can't do that consistently. So maybe there's going to be, at least in the interim, with a little spark, a little energy, reignite this struggling team with some energy. Maybe they play faster, maybe some value to the over, but I'm going to have to see it, though, for a game before I can just jump on it blindly. I can't just take what the coach is saying and apply it until I see a team that's had a boatload of issues scoring all season I got to be convinced they can put a puck in the net consistently before I do that. So again, I'd be looking, if I had to give a lean, obviously you're going to get an uptick in energy usually first game for the after a coaching change. So I'd lean LA here. I certainly don't have any problems fading Anaheim. I don't like this team at all. They're banged up. Andre Kasha on the IR. Corey Perry hasn't played a game. Ryan Getzlaff's been in and out due to injury. Maxime Comtois, who was a young kid that played really well for Anaheim early in the season, he's out too as well due to injury. So there's a lot of injuries with this Duck team. Lean LA, lean over. Not sure I'll bet either one, but if I lean in this game, that's where I'd go, Kings and Ducks. You should see at least a little bit of more energy in the Kings' first game for a new coach after John Stevens was let go over the weekend. All right, we'll wrap it up with best bets on this Tuesday show. Let's go around the horn. Let's start with Jimmy first with his Tuesday best bet.
I'm gonna go with my Canucks there. I like them. I like them going in and putting a whooping on the Red Wings there at Little Caesars. And again, my picks are brought to you by Uber.
Got to get the Uber plug in there for sure. No question. Andrew, best bet. What do you got?
I think all hell just breaks loose. Speaking of Uber, I think that hopefully the Uber owner isn't in attendance tonight because he'll have a lot of media to deal with in Ottawa. But hey, I think the over 6 is the play for that game. I think that both these teams are scoring, all seriousness, but all jokes aside, Ottawa's playing their best hockey when they're at home. I think they're going to have a good start against this team. And New Jersey's coming off a great performance and a great game. So they're a tough squad. Where they are, guys, in the division for them, where they are in the standings does not reflect how good of a hockey team that they are. We're only a month in. This New Jersey team's very talented. They can score some goals. So go the over 6, Ottawa, New Jersey.
All right. Devils sends over 6 for Andrew with his best bet. Alex B. Smith, best bet for you.
Like I said, riding the new wave with the Sharks and the Wild. Sharks first period over 1.5 minus 115. Wild playing some great hockey. Sharks looking to play some better hockey. I think we get some goals early in that game.
All right, and mine's going to be Kakalaki St. Louis over 5.5 minus 120. Cash the Blues over Saturday. See if we can go for 2 straight. Carolina St. Louis over 5.5. Best bet for me. That's going to wrap up the show. A great Tuesday show. Man, busy show. Lots of crazy stuff to talk about. The Ottawa controversy. Joel Quenneville fired basically as we're doing the show live. Crazy stuff. Crazy Tuesday show. A lot of fun, though, as always. Thanks to my Ice Guys for joining me. Thanks to everyone in the chat for tuning in. 100+ viewers strong this morning on a Tuesday.
Thanks,
we really
guys.
do appreciate it. We will be back on Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time with our next edition of the NHL Ice Guys. For Alex B. Smith, Andrew McGinnis, and Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Good luck and enjoy the Tuesday night NHL card, and we'll see you again on Thursday.